What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Game Informer Show, a weekly podcast covering the video game industry. Join us every Thursday for a discussion about the latest gaming news, reviews, and exclusive reveals alongside Game Informer staff and special guests from around the industry. I'm one of your hosts, Alex Van Aken, and today I'm joined by Kyle Hilliard. How you doing, Kyle?
Okay. Getting over a sickness, but I think I'm back to normal. I'm like 90%.
Oh,
So
you're back. We're back.
Okay.
We're so back.
All right.
And rounding us out, Marcus Stewart. How you doing?
Now, see? Now I'm here. Hey.
Is every episode just going to be you bringing another accent, another impression?
Yes. Well, last week I was like a vague cowboy, and I thought today the natural progression
do like
was
a
like
1920s
Yeah.
newspaper reporter.
I was going like vague gangster, but I guess it's the same accent. That's just how everyone talked
Yeah,
back
Bring
in
it back.
the
Let's hear it again.
You got to talk like this, Sonny.
Okay, you're like, I guess it's like, now, see, we're gonna go knock that bank over, see, yeah. Okay.
Oh, you've got a little more like annoyingness to your voice, and that's what makes it a villain versus the newspaper guy, I think.
Right.
Because, like, what? Welcome to the Game Informer. See, Game Informer show. See,
I call me Tony Legs.
Only legs.
Tony Legs.
You don't know how I got that name, see? Got the best legs down on the south side of Chicago.
Oh, okay. Tony
You are
Legs.
robbing a bank?
It's like,
That's a character's next move?
maybe his name is like he's so fast that he
They
got the
can't
name
catch him.
Tony Leg, or maybe like when he kills people, he only
It's
cuts
Tony
off their
Legs.
legs.
Get him.
Like he collects the legs of all of his victims because he's
Oh.
like, oh, if you owe me money
Uh.
and the people try to run away from me because they don't want to pay their debts, so I cut their legs off to teach them a lesson because then they can't run. It's like, you owe me money, see? So I got your legs now. They call me Tony Legs.
That would
Y'all-
be a time-consuming, inefficient way to kill somebody. Like that, there are much quicker ways to get that done, but maybe you don't want that.
But it's memorable, Kyle. It gets you.
true.
You wouldn't cross Tony Legs if you knew that.
that is true.
Does
That's a
Tony
good
Legs
point.
also walk briskly, though?
Yes.
Okay. Like
I
a
think
broad
it-
step.
Yeah, I mean, the natural end for him is that he has to lose his legs, right? Like when he gets his comeuppance,
Yeah.
he has to, like, I don't know, like a rock falls on his legs or something. He gets,
You're figuring all that out.
So
That'll
it's
come.
Tony Legs and Mikey Arms.
Mikey Yams.
You might have heard of Tony Legs over there in Chicago, but out here on the East Coast, they call me Mikey Arms.
Oh yeah, we're having like our cities or our clans are
Yeah.
beefing probably.
I thought
Yeah.
you were saying like yams.
Yeah, I thought you were saying yams with an
No, you're
accent.
saying
Wait,
arms.
yams?
Okay.
Arms. Mikey Arms.
What's your favorite Nintendo Switch
Clam
launch
chowder.
window game? Mikey Arms.
1-2 switch.
Oh, 1-2 Switch. All right.
I
There
lo-
was
I lo-
one specific game I thought you would really be into, but I guess not. Never
I like
Well,
the I like the milk what's that word called?
Milking the cow.
I like to milk things with my arms.
What's the word?
Okay.
What's the word for milking?
Milking
Milk.
udders. I
We
couldn't think of the
all
word udders.
remember 1-2 Switches, all of its games. They're all just right at the front of our head every time we think about that game.
Yeah.
Do you remember Imran Khan when he was at former Game Informer editor? Was it Fanbyte for a while?
Yeah.
He wrote a story that like the 1-2 Switch sequel was like complete. But
That's
Nintendo
right.
was just,
And they
like,
didn't
so
release it.
terrible that they didn't want to release it.
We gotta wait like 30
Good
years for
story.
the Nintendo Switch Mini, and then they'll release 1-2 Switch 2.
See, I feel like
What-
they're gonna
what-
release it as like the swan song of the Switch. Like as the Switch Pro's coming out, like the week before they'll drop 1-2 Switch 2.
Yeah, they're like nothing matters anymore. Here you go.
Would it be 1-2-3 Switch or just 1-2 Switch?
I'm
1, 2,
pulling up
3.
Imran's story and see if he had a name for it.
I think it's just the Will Smith song Switch. That's the whole game.
Hey, hey,
Yeah.
turn it around now.
The final nail in his rap career.
Yeah, my mom and I used to love that song. Which
That
you
sounds about right.
Everybody's 1-2 Switch. I
Okay,
believe,
yeah.
is what's going to be its title. So
Interesting.
So the first one wasn't for everybody.
no, it's only for a specific group of people.
I guess review score said that. What are we talking about today?
Video games.
1-2 Switch.
Welcome to the Game Informer Show. This is a video game podcast, believe it or not. couple of quick notes at the top before we jump into some awesome video game news, some reviews. We've got a lot to talk about, but a reminder that if you would like to purchase single issues of Game Informer, you can do so over at GameStop.com/Game Informer for $5.99 per issue. Currently, we have our RE4 cover, Dead Island 2, the Sea of Stars cover, and there was one more, Resident Evil. Diablo. Thank you. Yeah. So we've got those, and then I believe
it's Final Fantasy not.
I looked the other day; it wasn't up yet, but I think it's supposed to be coming in the coming.
It'll be
days.
there soon. Maybe by the time you're listening to this, it's up.
Yeah, maybe go and check that out. It's a great way to support us. GameStop.com/Game Informer. Again, $5.99 per issue. I'm going to be out of town for the next 3 weeks. 2 weeks, 2 weeks for listeners. So next week, Marcus is going to be hosting. I will not be on that episode at all.
Yeah. I apologize in advance.
Oh, you're going to do great.
Oh, it's going to be great.
And then on the episode that comes out June 8th, I'm hoping to tune in remotely for that. At that point, I'll be in LA for Summer Game Fest, and then should be back to normal the week after.
Man on the street calling in.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go down Hollywood Boulevard, and just talk to people.
Just shove your phone in their face. Say,
what do you think about Zelda Tears of the Kingdom?
Yeah, maybe Ben Reeves is around. We can get him back in on.
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Have you ever watched any of those old Ben Reeves?
I have.
Videos?
Yeah.
Classics.
And then lastly, at the end of this episode, we have a interview that Marcus did with WWE Tag Team Pretty Deadly. Marcus, you want to tell us about that? I know they're in the second DLC pack for the latest WWE game. But what's up with that?
Yeah, so they're if you're a WWE 2K23 player and you got that season pass or not, you probably are already playing with Pretty Deadly, but got an interview with them, Kit Wilson and Elton Prince, who recently got drafted to the SmackDown roster from NXT, so now they're in the big leagues now.
Nice.
And got to talk with them for about 20 minutes about not just WWE 2K, but also just video games as a whole, because it turns out they're both very big gamers, so it just became a very fun conversation about just video games, some fun.
Was there
stories
anything that
there.
they threw out there that they played that you weren't expecting?
I'm trying to remember now.
Like really big Animal Crossing fans, the two of them.
We didn't talk about Animal Crossing. I know we talked about Fortnite.
Oh,
and we talked about The Witcher. We talked some. I know one of them told a very funny story about their dad's reaction to them being in a video game, because this is their first appearance in a video game, so it's like a double big deal for them.
Yeah.
And if you tune in for that interview, there's some very fun stories. If you watch them on TV, two very charismatic guys, very entertaining. The interview is a hoot, as they would say, a hoot and a half.
A hoot
perhaps?
nanny.
Is that like their catchphrase? They say that all the time?
No, they say, and I got to.
Or you mean they, like the royal they? Like that's what they say. Everyone, the population. Is that what
I don't know if you were singing the Common song with Kanye West or they say what's happening. Sorry, that's that's what I'm saying about them. If that's
okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, yeah. Stay tuned after the episode to hear that. Let's get into talking about games. This week, Mortal Kombat 1 was revealed. I think I was expecting Mortal Kombat 12. I'm not familiar with, Mortal Kombat 11, but just as somebody who used to play Mortal Kombat, is familiar with the games and, not the story necessarily, I would just typically assume you do 12 after 11, but I'm wrong.
I thought you were saying, as someone that just knows how numbers work.
Yeah, that too.
Usually 12 comes after 11.
Yeah. It was being teased recently by Ed Boon. And, there was like the clock striking 12, I believe. I saw a GIF of that.
Or like it skipped over 12 and then struck.
Oh, you're
right.
it did. You did.
You're right.
Okay.
But I just saw 12 because, a guy who knows numbers, I was like, oh, Mortal Kombat 12.
Really upset you. You're like, that's not how clocks work.
Yeah. Marcus.
Is it? It's like properly like a Mortal Kombat 1 remake. Is that kind of what they're calling it, or?
No, not a remake.
Okay.
So this is a continuation of how the MK11 story ended, and not just the main game MK11, but also the Aftermath expansion, where it is because they did the reboot in 2011, which was MK9, and that was more of the hard. Like, hey, we're just going to retell the stories of MK1 and 3. But even that was still canon because that built upon what had happened in the previous game, Armageddon. So it wasn't even like a complete, like, clean slate of, like, nobody knows it. Because Raiden knew that this was a reboot within the context of the story. We're not going to get into it. I see you tilting your head, Kyle. It was basically a time travel story where everything was reset, but Raiden was the only character that still had knowledge of everything that had happened before it.
Okay,
so he was basically
the Marty McFly of the Mortal Kombat universe.
Yeah, and basically MK9, the whole story is him trying to redo the events as they happened, but things were happening differently, and he was like,
Back to the Future 2. Got it. All right.
Yeah, he's like, okay, Liu Kang has to win the first tournament because that's what happened the first time. If things just don't go the way that they did in the prior game, so it's him trying to basically put band-aids on everything and failing.
Marty McFly did that in Back to the Future 2. I get it. Just do Back to the Future references, and I'll get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it's relevant because that is what sets up what was the last trilogy of games that started with MK9 and then MKX and then culminating with MK11, which, if we could throw up spoiler walls for MK11, at least the end of it real quick. I know the game's like years old.
I want to know this because I haven't played those games, but I've heard people talk about the end of 11 being very interesting. So I would actually, with full spoiler warnings here, maybe you can skip ahead a little bit. I would love for you to tell me what happened at the end of Mortal Kombat 11. I would personally very much like to know.
Okay, so we can timestamp this. I don't know, but we're quick spoiler for MK11.
Yeah, there will be timestamps in the description.
Okay. Cool. So basically what happens is that the main antagonist of MK11 is this character named Kronika, who is basically the goddess of time. Like, she's above the Elder. Like, she's like the most powerful entity that's been introduced in this series at that point, and she just governs everything time related. You fight her as Liu Kang, and he beats her and basically kills her and takes her place as the new time god.
Okay.
And so he becomes fire god Liu Kang, where he kind of has like Raiden's powers, his own fire dragon powers, and now the powers of time, because Raiden becomes mortal in this game. And he basically just remakes the timeline in his own image at the end of it, of like, okay, I'm just going to reset everything to make, because all of MK11, the entire plot is a time travel plot where like the past versions of characters are meeting the present versions of the characters. Like young Johnny Cage from MK1 and 2 is hanging out with dad Johnny Cage of the recent trilogy. That's like MK11's plot, I think, is the best story they've ever done. Like, it is so wild and it's so much fun. But yeah, it's pretty much Liu Kang saying like, hey, I'm God now, basically. I'm just going to make things my own way. He picks Katana as sort of like a
villain in that sense?
No. He's a good guy.
Okay. I mean, he always has been historically. I just wasn't sure if maybe he took a turn
pretty.
Or something.
He was. There's been times he's
for a while too.
He was
very checked out of Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, he also spent most of this last trilogy dead and then reborn as an evil, like not a zombie, but basically like under the control of Quan Chi, and then he gets freed in this game and then becomes a god and is like, I'm gonna make a world where everything's peaceful. And then Aftermath happened, which was the expansion. That's where Shang Tsung is kind of the star of it. And basically, he fights Liu Kang and then loses, and then Liu Kang like deletes him from history.
All right.
And then this is the first time you see the new era that this game's going to be set in, where Fire God Liu Kang visits the Great Kung Lao, who the Great Kung Lao is the ancestor of the Kung Lao that we know.
Okay.
And Great Kung Lao was the original.
Kung Lao's the dude with the razor hat, right?
Yeah.
So I love him.
In Mortal Kombat lore, Great Kung Lao is pretty much the original Earthrealm champion. Like, he won Mortal Kombat, and then he was the one that got killed by Goro. So pretty much he was Liu Kang's predecessor, more or less. So
was he the one in the movie? In the old movie?
No. Okay. In the old movie?
Yeah. The Mortal Kombat movie.
Oh, the 95 one? No. He hasn't been in any of the movies. But funny enough, the daytime TV show Mortal Kombat Conquest that no one talks about stars him, because it's a prequel. Yeah, it's not good. But yeah, it kind of ends with Fire God Liu Kang going to see the Great Kung Lao and basically saying like, "Hey, you're going to be my new champion in Mortal Kombat," or
Okay.
So like I said,
so we're not going back in time for Mortal Kombat 1, which was just announced. This is just like this is where things pick up with Liu Kang having reset things.
Yeah, it's not so much they're going back in time. It's like it's a new timeline. Because remember, the Great Kung Lao, his era was long before the era of the characters that we know. But in that trailer, you see him with the main cast. So you're like, okay, I guess the Great Kung Lao exists at the same time as like Katana and Scorpion, even though they would be, well, I guess maybe Katana because she's like hundreds of years old. Now we're getting into the weeds, but like, but like everyone else, they would not have been around when he was alive.
Okay.
But
should we let open this? We can close the spoiler.
Yes,
gates
we can
again
close the gates
for the timestamps. If you want to tune back in, now's the time to tune back in, I guess.
Yeah, that was a very like.
Let me write it down.
Me paraphrasing the end of Mortal Kombat 11, but yeah, that's the gist of it. So yeah, we see the trailer, which I thought that trailer was maybe one of the best trailers they've ever done. Of like, I like that they didn't jump to the hyper violence immediately. Like a lot of it is just story and tone setting. Of like, okay, we're seeing Liu Kang's his vision of the new world. Everything seems peaceful. You see like Raiden there, it looked like. You see, and then him narrating and giving the idea of like, hey, the things that you remember about this universe, about like, hey, Katana and Mileena, they're hanging out, even though they usually hate each other. Maybe not. Maybe rivals are now friends. Who can say? You had the moment with Scorpion Sub-Zero coming face to face, and then you see that eclipse in the background that they were all looking at, like, oh, what's going on there?
I mean, I gotta be honest. I thought everyone was a rival with everyone. They seem to be fighting a lot, from what I can tell. I didn't think anyone really got along.
Have you watched the Mortal Kombat HBO movie?
Like the new one,
the new one, yeah,
from 2021.
Good. It was good, and there's some buddies there.
Yeah, I mean the Earth Realm, like the good guys.
Earth Realm kind of
all the Earth Realm champions
stick together. Yeah.
Yeah, like Liu Kang, Sub-Zero, Scorpion depends. But yeah, there's friends in MK, but yeah,
this friendship fatalities. I know they got those.
Exactly.
I know a lot about Mortal Kombat.
I think that's what Liu Kang did. He just made everything a friendship in his universe until the second half of the trailer, where it just gets
babalities only.
Ultra
no more fatalities.
I assume have you guys watched the trailer?
No, I haven't. I haven't had the chance yet.
Oh, man.
I watched it, but like it just doesn't mean a lot.
Hold on, while we talk, I'm just gonna pull it up.
I was gonna say because I was like the second half where it takes the turn from like peace. Here's things.
That ultimately is my thing with Mortal Kombat lately. Is like I just like it's just gratuitous in a way that I'm like I just don't think it's for me, man. Like I don't mind like violence in my games, but and to be fair, I haven't really truly given Mortal Kombat a shot. Like since I played the Super Nintendo one was like the last time I played it.
So MK2 and stuff.
Yeah, like I remember. Oh, actually, the last one I really got into is Mortal Kombat. I guess which was the one that was on N64. I think it was like 3 Ultimate.
It would have been one of the versions of 3.
Yeah, which a friend of mine, I remember we had a strategy guide for, and we just tried to do all the fatalities and babalities and friendships and stuff like that. But I've been pretty checked out from the series since then.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's the thing, and as the games have gotten more like hyper realistic, just because of technology getting better, you're like, oh my god, these fatalities are just like they're still over the top
for me.
Yeah, it's like they're still cartoony and over the top, but the fidelity is at a point where like, oh, you can see like every like vein and muscle tissue and bone and eyeballs. It's like we're the days of someone uppercutting someone and they explode into like 10 rib cages is long past. Like, no, we can actually just render realistic human anatomy. And this new trailer, the second half of it, oh my god, it is a lot, even for the series. And I've been a fan since the first one. Like I was a little kid when I first played the arcade cabinet of the original MK. So I guess I've grown up with it, and like, but to me the series, like, even though violence is such a big part of it, I've always just been more into the lore and the characters. Like more so than any other fighting series, I care about the lore of MK significantly more. And I think because they've made an effort to make that a focus of the franchise, especially in the recent games with them being pretty much the king of fighting game story modes. Like, starting with MK9, that like cinematic story mode that they've done for all the games, and other fighting games have pretty much adopted in some way since then.
I mean, it's their corner that they've really embraced, like, as they should. Like, I'm not saying they can't compete with Street Fighter. They certainly could, but it's like, well, they have the sort of competitive angle. Like, let's build our world, and I think it's really paid off for them in a huge way. Like, the Guilty Gears and the Street Fighters really are the more deep, like, you understand the mechanics of a fighting game, and Mortal Kombat's more like, let's have fun and tell a cool story. It's like, it's nice that they can both exist.
It's like it caters to both people, because obviously there's that competitive side for MK2.
Yeah, that's not to say there isn't a competitive side. Like Mortal Kombat, clearly, obviously, that it exists.
But I know plenty of people that play it just for the story mode, and then after that, maybe play casual matches with like friends. But they're not going to go online, because they're just like, no, I just like catching up with my main cast and seeing what wild story they got. And those story modes are like usually pretty substantial. They're probably like the length of like a Call of Duty campaign, roughly.
Oh dang.
Like a few hours. And they've gotten longer as they've gone on, and better. They've gotten a lot better at their storytelling and framing their
scenes in the biz, right? I mean, yeah.
I mean, especially if this game, if it looks like the trailer, I don't know if you are watching it now, Alex.
I've actually got it set up in OBS, so video viewers are also watching.
Okay, it's like, I don't know if you've gotten
to
the turn.
We are at the turn. Yeah,
so
wow.
You're seeing some stuff right now.
Might be time to throw some Gaussian blur on there. I
know. I know. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, it's and also that it comes out September 19th, so not that far away. So like, I'm pumped. I mean, fighting game fans are feasting.
Oh yeah.
Right? Between this and Street Fighter, and Tekken still doesn't have a date, but if that winds up being this year too,
I've really been enjoying. So the is it the here it is. Man, we're just looking at some stuff now on the video version of this. So I recently, I was FYI, I was sent this for as part of like a gear review we did a while back. But I've been playing Street Fighter 6, and it's really been the first time I've really taken it through, like, because Matt was the one who kind of did most of the testing. Mm-hmm. But I've got like a bruise on my hand from all of the Street Fighter 6 I've been playing. And I've been
using like a fighting stick?
I'm using a hitbox, essentially. It's the
hitbox.
Okay, Victrix Pro FS12. It's like a fight stick minus the stick. Mm-hmm. And instead there's like 4 directional buttons.
Oh wow.
And yeah, I've just been like going at it with Street Fighter 6, the beta. I know the full game, I can't wait to play the full game once it's out. But yeah, I've just been having tons of fun playing as Chun-Li, and yeah, it's been great. I am, Marcus, I am not like a big fighting game fan. I kind of got into them in a big way with Guilty Gear Strive, and then I went to Evo, and I was like, oh, I really do like fighting games, and like I feel like I'm cut from the same cloth as a lot of fighting game fans, and like the sense of camaraderie and competition. Like that's what I look for in games, and other games like shooters or whatnot. So after Evo, I came home, got more into Strive, all the while playing Street Fighter 6 previews along the way. And I think I'm like primed to like get into fighting games in a big way this year.
I mean, this is the year to do it for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't kidding. Like my palm is sore from the amount of times I've like hit like the Street Fighter 6 parry button over the length of the beta. I'm having a ton of fun with it. I still wish the beta had the full roster of the characters that are going to be in the game. There's a lot of really cool looking ones, but
who was in the beta? Because I got to play when I went to the preview event. We did have access to the full roster, so I got to play as the people I hadn't gotten to touch yet, like JP and like Marin, I think her name is.
Yeah, she's
Manon?
like the dancer, Manon. Yeah. JP's got like teleportation abilities.
He's got like, the cane. I like him a lot. I actually used him the most during the beta. Like once I got a handle on him, I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna like this guy.
Yeah.
He seems like he's gonna be a nightmare if you get really good with him.
Yeah. I don't remember all the characters. I'm like a one trick. I think it was Oh, when did they introduce Guile into the betas? Was that in December? I'm trying to think.
Ooh, I don't know.
I don't know the exact build that was just in it because I literally play one character. But I mean, it was a good amount, more substantial. Here it is. It was Ryu, Ken, Juri, Luke, Jamie, Kimberly, Guile, Chun-Li.
Okay, that's a decent selection. All right.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just been a lot of fun getting the hang of it. I switched off of modern controls. I've been learning classic.
Oh, you've graduated.
I have graduated. And I think, thank you. I played John Carson, former Game Informer editor, in the beta. We were going toe to toe. I was feeling good.
John's like a big Street Fighter.
Yeah,
he's a big fighting game fan in general.
Yeah, I mean he maybe not toe to toe, but I was at least, I won a couple games.
Ankle to ankle.
Yeah, ankle to ankle. Yeah, I was like, maybe I won 4 games, he won 8.
Maybe he won some undisclosed number.
Yeah, maybe. But I did get some games on John, and so
hell yeah,
which is nice because when I first downloaded the game and when I've been playing at events throughout the last year, I was always on modern controls, and the few times I would try out classic, I was just lost. Like outside of like a quarter circle punch, like I didn't know like anything, right?
And now you're going to be on Evo next year at this rate.
Well, yeah. I guess so.
You're fighting Daigo. Yeah, you're going to be fighting Daigo.
Yeah. Well, I think if you're press, you're now disqualified from any Capcom Cup related match. Like if you played the game pre-launch.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah, so sadly,
that preview you wrote.
Yeah, sadly, I won't be able to.
In Evo, this rule that I've just learned about.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that was a rule.
Totally gonna be it.
Well, I'm gonna go to Evo. I'm going to get to the top 8. Then they're gonna realize I work at Game Informer. I'm gonna get disqualified. It's gonna be a ton of PR for us.
A lot of controversy.
Yeah, a lot of controversy. They're gonna come check out the magazine, and it's just a foolproof plan, I think.
I mean, Eric Bischoff, you say controversy creates cash.
Yeah,
so
that's what I always say too. So I'm always saying that.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned because Mortal Kombat 1 also getting a beta in August. So I think they mentioned as I don't think you have to pre-order to get in. I know that's part of the pre-order bonus, but I don't think you necessarily have to pre-order to get in. But maybe I'm wrong on that. So yeah, I mean that also has like an early look coming, but man, I'm so excited for this game. I cannot describe, guys. I love me some MK, and like as a broader fighting game fan in general, my top 3 fighting games are all coming out and they all look good. Like I adore Tekken, I adore Street Fighter, so to me, I'm doing that. I'm like dancing in the end zone right now, just moonwalking. Like hell yeah, let's go. Come on.
I really want Project L to come out, but that's gonna be a while.
Is that the Riot Games?
Yeah, and it's using the cast.
Yeah,
they haven't talked timeline or anything.
I know that at Evo, I had heard, can't confirm, that like maybe they were showing it to pros and stuff then to get feedback and stuff. I don't think it hits earlier than like 2024. No beta, nothing.
No, okay.
Yeah, only some trailers and like character presentations. Okay. But it's using characters from League, which is a game I love, and I love those characters. And like that game's gonna be big because even obviously like kind of like Arcane, like a lot of people that never touched League really fell in love with that world through Arcane, the Netflix show, and I think it's gonna be the same thing for the fighting game.
I'm kind of surprised because every time because they've been releasing those other projects recently, like Conversions actually just came out today. The like side-scrolling action game, and then they got the one that came out earlier this year, and then they have the snow one. I don't play League, so that's why I don't know these characters. But
the music one, the RPG one, the snow, right?
Exactly. But every time I see a story about either of those games, I always see comments saying, "But what about the fighting game? Like, are they still doing that? Where's the fighting game?" And I was like, "Oh, people really care about this fight." I don't know. Maybe I didn't see the overlap with those audiences, but I guess you're right, Alex. Like it has that Arcane sort of like widespread appeal of like, the people that do like that fiction that I guess like fighting games. I guess there's more of them than I thought there was.
Well, it's also, correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, because I'm not a big League person, but I mean, it's so character focused, right? You find your guy when you play League of Legends, which is like, fighting games are that even more so. You know, you commit to one character that you love. Usually, you main somebody, and then that does seem like a good fit for League, which is like so character focused and everyone's very unique.
Absolutely, yeah.
I know if I play Street Fighter 6 with Alex, I'm not allowed to pick Chun-Li apparently.
or hopefully I'll like JP because he's like the one other character that I've really had my eye on. I just think he looks cool. He's got a lot of style.
Well, he's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, let's move on. Kyle, what have you been playing this week?
Just Zelda, dude. Still Zelda. But no, I did make some time for Planet of Lana, which Marcus reviewed. So he's the one that's going to have the most to say about it. I played like the first hour because I love that sort of genre, which is like, I don't know what you would call it, like a little scary-ish side scroller, like Little Nightmares,
atmospheric 2D puzzle.
I always say cinematic puzzle platformer.
I like that
too.
That's
good.
But that is a favorite genre of mine. So I've been keeping an eye on Planet of Lana for a while, and I played through like the first hour or something like that this morning. Tore myself away from Zelda to finally play something different. Marcus, you did the full review. You've finished it. I want to get your thoughts first.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you, Kyle, where I love cinematic puzzle platformers, whatever you want to call them, like Limbo, Inside. Adore that game. Didn't finish Somerville, and I'm naming these ones specifically because they all have Playdead lineage, including this game. I forget what the person that was the lead on this, what their role was at Playdead, but I know that they are formerly of that company. Which is funny because last year we got Somerville, right, which was made by one of the ex-founders, excuse me, of Playdead, which is a game that you reviewed, Kyle. And I actually never finished.
Dino Patty was like a producer on Somerville, who had left Playdead recently,
Yeah, and then with this game coming out a year later, also by an ex-Playdead person, it's just funny to me that those two games coming back to back, they both center around alien invasion.
Surprising. And that's what struck me about it early on. Is like it feels like sort of a pre-technology human society is kind of like
interesting.
And then it's like there's an alien invasion happening to that society. I mean, nothing is outlined, nothing is really detailed. Maybe they have more technology than I realized. Maybe that's a late game twist or something. But like, I like that concept. Is like these are just people. They're almost like borderline like Neanderthals or something, and they're having to contend with the alien invasion.
Yeah, there's definitely a bit more in that. As you go, it reminds me a little bit of Star Wars, of like that there's high tech technology, but all this like crap for the most part. You know what I mean? Yeah. And everyone looks like crap. It's not like they're wearing like super spacesuits. Like no, they just look like villagers or whatever. Like we probably dress better than them, but they have better tech than us.
Last Guardian characters. You don't get a huge look at the like humans of the Last Guardian, but they right? Am I crazy, Marcus? Like, I don't know how.
I can see like if you made like 2D versions of like a Ueda character of like a Ueda protagonist. It's like, I think I see it. So the premise of this game, you're playing as Lana, this young girl. Robots, like machines, come and basically abduct her village. She's mainly going after like her friend / relative / lover. Relationship isn't really clear, but like someone close to her is scooped up with her village, and so she's the only one that gets away and is just trying to find and rescue them. And along the way she meets this little kind of like cat-like critter named Mew, I think is how she yells it. I don't know why it sounds like it's wrong because my brain is defaulting to the Pokemon Mew. Who I guess both cute cat-like animals now that I think about it. So
I mean, cat-like, I guess that's as far as I got. I found Mew, and I got the achievement that we had become friends.
Did you pet Mew?
No, I haven't yet.
Oh, okay.
She's stuck in a cage right now that I gotta open so a monster doesn't eat her or something.
Gotcha.
That's kind of like petting her.
I like that. You can pet her anytime, and I found myself petting her whenever we got past like any challenging sequence. Like like there's no benefit for it. Right. But it just felt like the appropriate thing. Like, hey, we did it. Here you go, buddy. And yeah, that's kind of the game. It's like, first and foremost, presentation. Like, oh my god, this is a beautiful game. Like, art direction. It's got kind of like a painted, like a very clean sort of like painted look. Where, like I said in my review, where it's like, yeah, I think most like screenshots I would just want to frame and hang. Like, the background art looks phenomenal. The game takes you through different settings like a forest and a beach and a desert, and all looks amazing. The soundtrack also rocks. Like, I love the main theme, which
very cinematic. Like, I was kind of surprised. Yeah,
and the main theme is important too, because it actually has like story significance, and you're gonna hear it a lot in different like variations of it. Like, you'll get like the quiet piano version of it, and then you'll get like the grand orchestral version, and then everything in between. And at first you're like, oh, I guess they just really like this, which, I mean, fair, I do too. But then you're like, oh no, there's like in world like world significance to this theme. Apparently, like, they use it mechanically too.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And like a lot of game, like, if you play games like Limbo or Inside, you're largely going left to right. You move kind of deliberately, almost like you're controlling like a puppet in the way that you did in like the boy in Limbo. And you're pretty much just solving environmental puzzles of like, hey, how do we get, not only just how do I get across this obstacle, but how do I get Mew there too? Because Mew is more agile. It can jump higher than you can. So a lot of the climbing stuff is more on you to get past. And then you will sort of like do other tasks, like, oh, it can distract enemies so that you can sneak past, or you eventually can kind of command it where you kind of point a cursor and say like, hey, can you jump up there and cut that rope down so I can climb it? And along the way, you'll eventually be able to like hijack enemies' minds with Mew, and then you can hack some of the machines and use them. And the mechanics are like, it feels fine, and a lot of the puzzles are like pretty well designed. If not, sometimes a little tedious. Like, you'll walk into a situation like, okay, I think I see exactly what I have to do here. I just got to move a bunch of boxes around
Sure,
and kind of put everything in their proper place. And then when you die, you're like, okay, I got to do all that again. And just not get seen, because you go down pretty much in one hit if you get caught by machines. A lot of it's stealth focus. You're hiding in tall grass a lot while you're trying to get these puzzles set up. And there's some like a few interesting one-off things. Like, there's one pretty big puzzle that sort of relies you on finding symbols in the environment itself to sort of like basically create like a musical note. And there's some even quick time events stuff of like which I didn't expect from this game, of like really fast-paced sequences where you're just like following button prompts and like mashing certain buttons really fast and like that. And I think my main, like, I think the game's enjoyable. I think it's good. I gave this game a 7.75 out of 10. And that's ultimately because I feel like the puzzles sort of peak early in terms of their complexity, and they don't mix it up enough, at least for me, where like in between those sort of like cool one-off puzzles, you're kind of going back to sort of the same song and dance, like, okay, moving some boxes around, cutting some ropes. And also the difficulty of the puzzle is weird, because some, like, you'll be late in the game and then you run into a puzzle that's actually very basic, or like even a stealth sequence where you're like, oh, okay, I bet they're asking me to do something kind of crazy here. And you're like, no, just sneak under this guy. And you're like, oh, that was it? You're like, but that last one, we did all kinds of stuff. And like, this one just like 2 hours, 3 hours into the game, just like, oh no, sneak under this guy, and that's it. You're like, that's kind of weird. All right. And I don't know, it just felt like the escalation, like it was like off to me, of like, I was hoping for something a little bit more interesting here, and now we're sort of regressing,
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, and then it'll start to peak again. You're like, oh, okay, we're building up to maybe something that we're going to combine these mechanics in maybe more inventive ways, and then they don't. It's like, oh no, that was actually a little bit more straightforward than I thought it would be. And it just never feels like it hits that next gear. It like bumps up against it a few times, but it doesn't cross it. And on one hand, if you're looking for something maybe a little bit more relaxed, that might be nice if you're not trying to like bust your brain. And I don't necessarily need this to be like some like Jonathan Blow level like puzzle box. But I don't know, when I think of like Inside, I feel like the puzzles in that game were like regularly surprising and inventive, where like every puzzle felt like a really unique, cool thing.
Yeah, and like maybe if the solution was kind of simple, it would just like what you were doing got crazier and crazier as you progressed in that game. You know, like you're
now I'm in a submarine,
like the gravity of water with like bodies hanging in it and stuff. Like the solutions aren't that much different from the beginning of the game, but they're but I'm guessing that's what you're saying. That Planet of Lana kind of lacks is that sort of.
Yeah, it kind of it feels like it plays the same couple notes throughout the entire game. You know, and it's not a long game, but yeah, that was kind of my thing. Is like I feel like I kind of walked away like wanting more from it. Right. You know what I mean? And that's like that feeling like it's like this is fine, but it feels like it could have done some more. I think I wanted more. I feel a little maybe I don't know. Hollow sounds like too harsh of a word, but like. It did feel like a little lacking in that sense. That's all. Like I said, I don't think anything's like designed badly necessarily. It's just maybe like bordering a little on the mediocre end, at least on terms of like the puzzle design and whatever. But for like an adventure of like just seeing the world, like getting to see different parts of that beautiful world, the music, and even the story stuff, which the story isn't anything too wild. Like a lot of those games, there's no dialogue. A lot of the more interesting storytelling sort of told in the background or along the edges, and a lot of it's up to your interpretation. Like you see something, you go, "Oh, what's that all about?"
Yeah.
And they even do the like inside. There's collectibles that you can find that are very easy to miss. Like you really got to be observant to find like there's a hidden path here, and it leads to like these collectible. It's like pretty much a stone tablet that pretty much spells out the origin of this world, but it's like broken in pieces. So you're finding the pieces and gradually putting together, and you're like, oh, okay, I think I see how humanity came to be on this world and whatever. So if you do want that background, you're going to want to like scour for those. Like I said, they're very hard to find, and some of them are even. It feels like they're paced weird. Where I found like the first 4, and then went an hour where I didn't find any. And I was trying, but I was like, oh, I don't. At least in my mind, I don't see any obvious place, or or maybe because it was like sometimes the puzzles are so involved, you're like, I don't know if I feel like jumping down there and potentially dying and having to do that again to see if there's a hidden path there. But then after like an hour, I remember I found another one, and it was like, hey, you found number 8. And I was like, wait, did I miss like 4? Like in that short amount of time? Is that accurate? Because it tells you like on the achievements, like 4 out of 8 out of 10. You're like, how did I miss that many that quickly? Were they all bunched together? So I don't know how they're laid out. Kyle, you strike me as someone that's going to go in and find all of those.
Yeah, I already found one, which is like, that's the second I found it, I was like, well, I got to find all these now.
Exactly, right? I mean, I was that until I hit that gap, and it's like, well, I guess now I'm too far now.
I am with these games in particular. I will go back and try to find those things. Like Somerville, which I liked quite a bit, but wasn't over the moon for or anything. I went and got all the endings and everything. Like I like replaying these types of games because like once you even know the solutions, like to me it's weirdly becomes even more fun because it just becomes so fluid and you know what you're doing and it feels like more cinematic. And though it's kind of a weird thing I appreciate about that genre. So you have certainly not talked me out of it, Marcus. I want to play more. I don't see.
I don't want to talk you out of it.
This. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will pause Tears of the Kingdom momentarily. I mean, maybe we'll see, but
yeah, I think 7.75, not a bad score. It's like just shy of an 8. I think it's totally solid. It's enjoyable. It's I had fun with it. I just wanted more from it ultimately. So, but hey, it's out now on Xbox. It's on Game Pass. It's I feel like saying it's a good Game Pass game sounds like an indictment sometimes of like this wouldn't be worth playing if it wasn't on Game Pass. So I'm always cautious to use that term.
I'm going to be playing on Steam.
Oh, okay.
Pro gamer, right?
Pro gamer.
You're going to buy it, right?
Well, if I didn't have our Steam Press account, yes, I would buy it. Because this game's on my list. I've been looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I actually don't know how much it costs. Probably like 20. Sounds right.
Now we need a fighting game that features, the Inside and Limbo protagonists and the Somerville family.
We need the
Little Nightmares protagonists.
It is currently $17.99 on Steam. They're doing a 10% discount.
I like that idea, though, Kyle. I want Super Playdead All Stars.
What's the other one I'm thinking of that I like a lot? That's like you drive a car, and then the sequel you had more of a boat. Sky. What is that called?
You think Sky Children
Lone
of Light?
Sales?
Lone Sales?
Oh, Lone Sales. Oh, yeah. That's very much in that. Yeah,
I like both of those are very good too. I feel like the sequel.
Far Lone Sales and Far Lone Tide?
Changing Tides. Yeah.
Quite good, but just kind of ended like. I don't remember exactly when it came out, but I feel like it kind of got just sort of glossed over. But...
Yeah, because the second one was like early last year, which is why I think it was like February last year's. Yeah, because I played it.
Oh man. Yeah, I think I finished it.
That was one of Ben Reeves' last reviews before he left.
Oh, okay. Because I think in my mind I finished it and like rolled right into Elden Ring, and I was like,
pretty much, yeah. You're like, this is a good appetizer. I think that game's good.
I like
I
played it probably for an hour, the sequel, and I think it was just like a pretty slow start for me, so I fell off. I should go back to it because I did like the mechanics of it all, like managing.
Did you like the first one?
I never played the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, because it's pretty much that.
I prefer the first one, actually.
Oh, really?
Despite talking about how much I like Changing Tides, I think between the two, I think I like the first one a little more. But
yeah, I think the second one's a little bit more mechanically dense because you're doing like sailing, like sea sailing as well as like the sand stuff.
Yeah, I think I like the sort of specificity of like a vehicle. Where you're not really going underwater necessarily.
Yeah.
But they're both good. They're both great games. If you like this style of game that we're talking about and you miss those, for sure go play those too.
You could probably do that crossover by having all those characters on that boat. Like maybe Far is the host for all the Playdead people.
Yeah. There you go.
What's the Far character name?
Mr. Far.
Does it have a name?
Chris Farley?
Chris Farley.
Yeah. You guys have also have you both been playing Exoprimal or just you, Marcus?
No, we've both played. We played together.
Yeah,
with the beta.
Yeah, I remember you streamed it, didn't you?
And wrote a big old feature about it. And then recently, Marcus went to a Capcom event and played more. Right,
I've seen our TikTok clips of y'all playing that game.
Yeah, guys, that's our most successful TikTok clip. Is a clip from Exoprimal.
Yeah. It still shows up on my For You page randomly. And like, I've seen this like twice, but sure, I'll watch again.
To be fair, like out of context, that game is a head turner. If you just saw a clip of raptors raining from the sky, you're probably going to want to see what that's all about.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I went to Capcom's office in San Francisco for a press event, got to play 3 hours of it, which it was pretty much just 3 hours of matches, but we got to see the story, or at least like how the story unfolds for the first time. And because it's a multiplayer only game. There's no single player campaign in the traditional sense, or single player in general. So they're kind of almost doing like a Titanfall 1-esque approach with like I got to see this thing called the analysis map, which is where the story comes in, and it's just this big like radial flow chart of all of these unlockable, not even just cutscenes of the main narrative, but even like scenes of like lore stuff of like, oh, here's something about the company that is behind the exosuits, or like stuff like that, like basically like audio logs in the sense,
Yeah.
And basically, the more matches you play, at the end of them, you'll unlock a certain number of them, and then when you unlock one, it'll unlock the connecting chart, and basically the flow chart feeds towards the center, and it looks like the center has the finale. And so you're pretty much just like working your way down, where you start on the outer rim, you unlock scenes that feed into whatever scene connects to that specific scene that is in closer to the center until you get to the middle. It's like No Man's Sky. You got to get to the center of the universe.
Could we conceivably take different routes on that circle and see different elements of the story?
I'm not sure how they unlock, because it seemed random. Like it was pretty much just rewarded alongside like your mission rewards at the end of the match. Like, hey, here's your new unlock. Here's this. Also, you got a story cutscene. And you're like, oh, okay. And then you go to the analysis map, you unlock it, and then it's like, sometimes I would get one scene, and as soon as I watched it, it'd be like, boom, you unlocked another one connecting to it. You're like, oh, okay. And then it'd be like, boom, you unlocked another small like audio log thing. You're like, oh, okay, I just got like 3 things in one, like, I guess from one match. I would assume it's preset if they're trying to tell like a linear narrative that, you know, regardless of when you unlock the scene, you're all going to unlock the same scene.
Okay.
Is what I gather.
There's the Zelda approach now, right? Where you can find cutscenes in the world and you can take them in any order. I just didn't know if it was kind of like that. I got to say, Exoprimal, the thing that I'm like genuinely most interested in is the story. Like,
it's
like,
silly.
Yeah, I want to see what the like the conceit is and what it's about. Like I'm not a big multiplayer guy, but like that actually sounds like a worthy reward for me. Is like we're like you jump into this bizarre world filled with dinosaurs and AI robots like telling you what to do. And I kind of like the idea that it's like, well, that stuff's fun and all, but like the story will now tell you exactly how we arrived here. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of into it. I think I want to see it.
Do you think, I would say like the story looks wild. The writing is maybe intentionally bad and like a B movie cheesy. Like I kept thinking of Binary Domain, and I've been thinking that ever since I've seen this game, which is a game that I like. But it's like, because it has that B movie vibe to its story, like it is so dumb, but it knows it's dumb.
Yeah.
Even when it tries to be serious, and Exoprimal has a similar vibe, but the writing is just like the character dialogue, because you know you're part of this small team. You got the leader, this guy named Lorenzo, who's like this very jovial, tough guy, very pronounced, I believe, like Caribbean, Jamaican accent. He's like, hey, man, yeah, and he's like, gonna fight.
That could be ill-advised. We'll see how that goes.
Well, whoever plays him really goes for it.
All right.
And then you got, I think, Alders, who's like the sassy scientist guy. You got Majesty, who's the Regina lookalike that made us all think this was a Dino Crisis.
Right, okay, yeah.
She's like the tough military lady. And then you got, I think, Sandy, who's like the robot, just like your AI partner. And then you, who's like your creative character. And just the back and forth between them is just... So a real line from this game... So for like context, the idea is that you're from the year 2040. Somehow you get brought into the year like 2043, and like a parallel universe where the characters are encountering alternate future versions of themselves. On top of the fact that dinosaurs are raining from portals and terrorizing Earth.
Okay,
but it's a future self only 3 years ahead of time.
Yeah, it's not like a huge jump.
Okay.
But it's like a few years. Yeah. Okay. But you know they're weirded out by this.
Oh, I gained 15 pounds. That's like the big character change.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know, I paid off a loan. But there's like a scene where so the Alders guy, the scientist, he has a robot hand, almost like very Big Boss like, and he's talking to one of the guys in the future who is like, he's pretty much the guy that knows what's going on. He's telling them everything, like, hey, there's future versions of you. I'm hanging out with them right now. Here's what you guys have to do to maybe fix this. And he sees Alders with the robot hand, and he's like, huh, I saw another version of you that didn't have a robot hand. I guess that means you're left-handed. And he makes a certain suggestive hand motion. He's like, I guess that means, if you probably know where I'm going there.
Yikes.
He's like, I guess that means you're left-handed. And then Alders is just like, going, no, I go, no.
Every time that idea of like, you know, oh, maybe it was meant to be stupid. They're leaning into the B movie nature of it. I always think of Leo Vader, former video producer, and now over at MinMax and has his own YouTube channel and everything. He once said that video games that are like that, or movies, any form of media, they need to have in the credits, this was supposed to be stupid. They need to like make that clear, because it's like you don't get to just be like, oh, it's stupid but it's good this time, as opposed to like it's stupid but it's bad. It's like we have to know the creator's intent. If it was meant to be stupid, they got to put it in the game.
They should put that, like, you know, most movies they preface it with like based on a true story. It's like, right, this is supposed to be stupid, and then the trailer starts.
This is a dumb one, you guys. Is what it is.
Don't think too much. So yeah, the dialogue.
It would have made Hot Rod a huge hit. I don't know if you guys know that movie.
Oh yeah, I know Hot Rod.
Imagine if the opening of that movie
I was a kid who quoted that.
To be very stupid.
Or a college student who quoted that movie too often.
I love that.
Cool movie. Beans.
where you notice the hot rod guy around your circle, like, oh, here he comes. Gonna say something about hot rod.
You just hear like a guy like quoting Hot Rod, like slowly fade into like coherency, like oh here he comes.
No, that movie's fantastic.
Yeah.
I should watch it. But yeah, so yeah, that's like Exoprimal Store. The only thing other, I guess, big thing I got to see was like the hangar, which is like the customization stuff, getting to outfit your exosuit with these things called modules that basically just give you perks. You know, you can have up to 3. There's different styles of module. There's ones for just attack or offense. There's one general slot for like, hey, you know, maybe when you reach low health, you move faster. And you can purchase them with the in-game currency. You can upgrade them to make them better. And you can also use the same ones across multiple suits, which is nice since they're doing like sort of an Overwatch style of, you know, because you can switch classes on the fly during matches. What's also nice, it's like a small thing, but I appreciate is that you can favorite a suit so that you'll automatically start the match wearing that one.
Oh, that's
because
nice,
I believe otherwise it's like randomized if you don't pick it. Like, hey, we're just gonna start you in this one. Also, shout out to Zephyr, which is the suit that I use the most. It's one of the attacking suits, and it's like the sword melee one. It like moves really fast.
Yeah, I use that one. Yeah,
it's real good. He kind of wound up being the favorite among like the press. Like, we were just talking to other media people, and we all seem to consent. Like, yeah.
Is he the big red armor dude with the sword?
No, he's blue.
Blue, okay.
Well, you can probably customize him.
I mean, you can customize him, but
I'm watching y'all's Exoprimal NGT. I've got that playing right now.
The red one, I think, is the standard gunner. He's kind of like the basic, like all-round gunner guy. I don't think he has a sword.
Yeah, I don't know if either of us did the sword guy when we were doing
I don't think he was in the beta.
Oh, okay. But, this is the different guy with the katana we're watching.
I played as him because he is fun because he's the one that you can get the most in the thick of it with the dinosaurs.
And he's got like a hammer that he can lay down. Is that the same guy?
It's like a mission specific thing. Like anyone.
Oh yeah. But we also learned like strat wise, like he's the best for advancing the mission, because like every mission is basically a race to finish the objectives before the other team, and like you're literally running to the next objective and you're trying to get there before the other team does. And because he has that like sprint burst, he could kind of help keep the team ahead, because only one of you need to get there for the team, for the count for the team. So we figured out, because we were playing a bunch of like us against another team of press, and like me and another person that was using Zephyr were like, hey, like just keep sprinting constantly, like, because you know, just that little bit of inch from that is enough to keep us in the head, you know. So good tip there.
That TikTok that we were talking about earlier on the Game Informer account, that is far and away the most successful TikTok. I'm playing as the sword guy.
Okay, yeah.
And the reason that, I mean, we're joking, but the reason that TikTok got so many numbers is because it's a sword guy running into a giant thicket of raptors and swinging his sword around. I mean, that's pretty damn cool.
And it feels cool. Like the game plays fine. Like I don't know if you got a chance to play any of the beta.
No, I really want to. I didn't though.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that maybe people aren't expecting. Like the game feels good to play, like just as a shooter, even the melee stuff. Like I like most of the classes I got to try. The matches are fun, especially if you have like when you get people that you know and you're all just screaming at each other, just like, oh, we got to get to the objective. Oh, T-Rex just showed up. What the hell? And like, oh, we see the other team. Like, and the moments when you see the other team and you're like directly engaging with them, and because you're pretty much just trying to sabotage each other's progress. Yeah, is really fun. I still have my doubts about like the overall longevity of this game. You know, like the story is definitely designed to keep you around, because like just from the sheer number of nodes in the analysis map and how many matches you might have to play to see everything, it seems like you're going to be in for the long haul to get to the center of that map. And that's assuming that you care enough about the story to get there. But, you know,
this seems like, I was going to say like one of probably my favorite mode in Destiny is Gambit. And that's where you're both, you know, racing to take down this big monster, two teams, their own, you know, essentially in like two different realms, but fighting the same stuff. And it's a race to see who can beat it all first. And I love that game mode. And so this is just seems like it's going to be right up my alley because of that. The two teams kind of racing for finishing first is a great way to do competitive, without the frustrations for like more casual players. Like I love playing Gambit because my friends who don't want to jump into like Trials of Osiris or like competitive in Destiny, I play Gambit with them and I love it because like it's PvE, but there is this meta game that we're all participating in that makes it competitive for me to enjoy. So I really like that kind of style.
Yeah, because you're not really fighting the other team until the end sometimes, or if you happen to come across them, but a lot of it is PvE. You're just trying to do it better than the other team. And when you hear the announcer say like, oh, you're behind now, it like the tension is real. Like we need to hurry up, guys. Like we were ahead and now like we're like a second behind them, and you can see the ghost of the other players. You can see them doing the thing, and you're like, okay, they killed like a raptor right before we did. Like we're one raptor behind them.
That's really funny.
I'm
excited.
It's fun. I'm very curious to see how if this takes off, like the response to it, especially because again, it's not a free to play game. It still feels like it maybe should be.
It
but
does.
It's a $60 like thing. It is coming to Game Pass.
Yeah, I was about to say, is it coming to Game Pass?
It's coming out July 14th, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that helps to Game Pass sell.
At least for me, sometimes that's a benefit that it's not free, because then it's like the microtransaction side of it, which I'm sure will exist and will be annoying. It's like the turn down if it's a full price game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's not always that way. Sometimes it's if you play it and you're like, this should have been free to play. There's so much microtransaction crap in here that it's getting in the way. But sometimes it's like if you pay full price, then all the microtransaction stuff is very background. Like that I like, when I think benefits the game sometimes.
I agree. I'm saying, like, when I say maybe it should be free to play, it's more of like a barrier to entry standpoint.
Yeah.
Of like versus what the game is, of like, oh, it's fun, but I also have to sell this to like friends and say, hey, you guys got to drop $60 on or 70. I don't know. I don't know what this is, but you guys got to spend all this money for a multiplayer game we might play in the long run. Yeah. Maybe we all get tired of it in a month. But
yeah,
I mean, it being on Game Pass,
not 70, it's 60.
Yeah, the Game Pass.
But still, your point stands. Like $60 is a hard sell as well, you know.
Yeah, and Game Pass isn't free
for a game as niche as this is. It's not the next Call of Duty you're trying to get your friends to play, you know.
Yeah,
but the next Call of Duty is going to have dinosaurs now if this takes off, though.
Confirmed.
Please,
yeah.
Why not? Let's do it.
There's zombies. Yeah, actually, dinosaurs are cooler than zombies.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
July 14th for Exoprimal looks like release date.
Word. I have a question. So we're kind of coming to the end of the show, but I want to talk about Zelda more. Have you got what dungeons have you guys? I know Kyle, you've beaten the game. Marcus,
baby.
Which dungeons have you done?
None, unless the does the dungeon the place you go with Impa in the beginning, is that it's technically a dungeon, even though it's not really elaborate. It's kind of like a mini. You know what I'm talking about?
No,
you go
it's not. It's not a dungeon.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I don't know if that counts. It's like
it does not. You'll know a dungeon when you see it.
It's dungeon adjacent.
Okay, never mind. I was gonna tell you how I fought one of the dungeon bosses over the weekend.
Yeah, I haven't played in a while because I've been tied up with other things. So
effectively, I'm not going to talk about the dungeon itself, but effectively, I was like, the boss is sometimes hard to hit. I don't think that's a spoiler. And like, one of their phases, they are particularly hard to hit for a certain reason, and I kept running out of like arrows and resources to hit them with.
Can you give me a cardinal direction of where this event was occurring?
North west. No. East.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I was like running out of like arrows, which I found was like the way I wanted to fight that boss. And I died, and I was like, screw this. Like I went through like all of my food, all of my arrows. I was just done. It just drained me. And so I was like, I died. I came back, loaded my save, and I built a fire truck outside of the arena for the boss.
Like an actual fire truck?
Effectively, like it was playing with like there was a substance involved that water helped with, I'll say that. And so I pulled out my Zonai devices and was like assembling this thing, and I've unlocked the batteries at this point, so I can like power stuff without draining my own battery. and I effectively just like drove around the arena and like kept running over this boss with my fire truck, and I beat it that way, and it
That's
felt really
awesome.
good.
That's so
Yeah.
great.
This is like a big boss where you're like running into a chin with your little truck.
He's pretty big.
No comment. Yeah, I mean,
I just want to say, like, are you doing the equivalent of like a little kid, like running his toy into his parents' leg or something? Like he's playing.
I was bigger, and it felt really good because of that. It was like, you can't get away from me now, that kind of thing. Like just ramming them. It was good.
That's
great.
great.
It was a
That's
lot
so
of fun.
cool. I don't think I beat any bosses like by making a contraption like that, but I love that. Like I love that you can do that. That's so.
And
absurd.
I was worried. I was like, is this gonna be the part where it like phases out my vehicle and I can't use the vehicle that I made? And it didn't. I was like, oh my god. Now I was playing handheld and my frames were chugging so much because there's already so many particles on screen for like the boss's effects, and then I've got my Zonai fire truck that I'm like racing through it all in.
I wonder if you could like Fortnite the bosses, where if you were really good with Ultra Hand and you had enough materials around, you could build a structure around them that essentially acted as a cage where they couldn't move, and then you could just take pot shots at them.
I think the bosses would probably just shatter whatever you built. I think, right? Like I would assume so. But I have seen people building like cages, like giant cages to capture horses effectively out in the world. Like they'll just
just hovering it over and just
like dropping a cage on a horse and stuff like that. And like that works. But I think bosses are just too strong by design. Like they'll just, if they hit your thing, like maybe they'll break it if you tried to sort of contain them.
This one didn't.
This maybe not. Yeah, I don't know.
Like I was running, we were like face first, like head on collision.
The funniest thing with all this, I was so, and I still am, by the way. I don't want to spoil anything for people not playing Zelda, but like, or for people who are playing Zelda, but like, it's so funny to watch the community grow around this game. Because like every clip I've seen, every little thing I've seen about the game, I swear is like people have like 6 hearts, like no one is making progress. Like no one like is going down the story rabbit hole. Like I figured by this time I'd be like ready to start sharing like late game stuff to talk about that. Like, oh, it wasn't this cool when this happened, but like I am still very much feeling like I cannot. Because no one's making any progress, which is so fun. Like, that's so cool that's how everyone's approaching the game, is just like slowly doing the story stuff, but mostly just hanging out in a field and building crap.
Yeah, some of the things I'm seeing just like on clips that I get sent, like, Brian put that Instagram clip in our work Slack recently that had like that montage of just absolutely insane, just mechs and like vehicles, like a helicopter that someone made, and you're like,
did you see the one where they had a drone and they shot out a separate drone? The latest TikTok I saw, it had to have been like a glitch to like the duplication glitch to like, they had like 8 batteries on their character, like for like their own battery. They had like 8 full batteries, and they had a giant, it was like a bomber plane, and then they they somehow detached a drone, like a rover, and so they were flying overhead and shooting cannons, and then their rover was on the ground zooming around destroying stuff. And it was like full frontal assault. It was wild.
I like how people are like, Nintendo, you're not going to make a Star Fox we like? We're going to turn this into Star Fox. We're just gonna have vehicles that were flying around.
You think Inuma and like the team are watching these like TikToks and they're just like hands on their face saying, my God, what have we done?
When they see the Korok clips, probably, I think, I would imagine that was probably the biggest surprise to them, is how people are just absolutely torturing the Koroks with the backpacks. And like, I imagine they probably are excited to see people building stuff, but every time everyone just like launches a Korok into the atmosphere,
the crucified Koroks.
Yeah.
Someone on the team was like opposed to letting players move and interact with Koroks, and he's having his moment now of like, you see, I told you this would happen.
Yeah, right.
You gave fire to the mortals, and now look what they've done with it.
Yeah, I am now. I got my Switch stats.
Oh, because it's been 10 days, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't played
the results
as much
are
as
in.
Some people, because it's been busy over here. But 30 hours, 2 dungeons, 36 shrines, only 5 light routes because I'm scared of the depths.
Oh yeah. Hey, even I haven't. I'm 110 hours. If I look on the map and you see the percentage,
yeah,
I still say less than 50%. It says like 48, I think. And I'm wondering if it's because similarly, I'm like not spending a lot of time down there.
Yeah.
I'm still just having a blast hanging around up in the world, so I don't really go down there a lot.
I haven't seen a lot of clips of things down there either.
Well, that's cool. That's good. Yeah.
Like I was gonna say, like, is that like the last frontier of this game? Like, are there potentials, or is there potential for things that you could make down there that maybe you could only do down there that people haven't tapped into yet? I don't know.
No. Not really. I mean, it's a new area, but like your tools are consistent throughout. It's not like when you go down there, suddenly you have a new set of tools or anything like that.
Yeah, or even just the terrain. I was like, I don't know if it would engender any sort of like weird experimentation that maybe you could do on the Sky Islands or on Hyrule.
Not really. No, I don't even mean that negatively or anything, but it's just like another location, you know.
I do have a question for you, Kyle. I need more Zonite refineries. I only have one that I have access to.
Oh wow!
Are there multiple?
So you found the one on Sky Island.
Yeah, and that's the only one I found.
Okay.
There's the one in the starter village, like right outside of it.
Oh, hold on. We might be talking about different things.
The refineries are where you pay the guy, and he's like, "Hey, I'll make a bunch of those, the Zonite fragments, whatever they're called." That's what you're talking about, right?
There's one on the Sky Island, and then there's a guy on the Sky Island who will take your things and turn them into batteries. Right? You found both of those guys.
Yeah.
The rest of the refineries seem to be underground. I've probably found like 4 or 5 down there.
Wait, refineries they turn them into batteries only? Because I remember, you know who I'm talking about, Kyle, the one that's like right outside the village where you first meet Pora. Because there's a piece of a Sky Island, and there's one of the Hyrule soldiers that's like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what this thing is. And you go up there the first time, and you tell him, but he's like a Zonite machine. He's like, hey, like he does the same thing of like, hey, give me a bunch of these, whatever those things are called, and I'll make more. But he's like right outside the.
No, I've missed him somehow.
At Lookout Landing.
Is that the name of the starter town where you're like the home bases, basically?
Where there's the little underground area where you can.
The first town.
I don't know what you're talking about, Marcus. So that whoever that character is that you're talking about, I have not found them or met them.
Oh, okay.
They're like up in the sky above it.
I am fast traveling there right now.
He's on the ground. Like he's one of the machines. Like the implication is that his workshop, I guess, fell from the sky, but he's like right outside one of the gates. And
really,
you kind of have to climb it. Like it's not super high, but you have to climb it. And there's like a soldier that stands out there all the time. And he's just like, I want to solve the mystery of what this is. And then you sort of show him up. You're like, I can just climb up there and see what it is.
You know what I think might have happened is because I pretty much go there to buy arrows and to turn in my things to get hearts and stamina and stuff. I only fast travel there. I never go in through any of the entrances. So maybe
I see what you're talking about. I see it.
Yeah, because I saw him.
Can you hold it up, Alex?
Hold on. Let me go over there.
Yeah, because I saw him en route to the castle. Like when you first have to go to the castle for the story.
Yeah.
Like on my way there, he's like right to the right side, and I was like, oh, okay. And I just saw him. So he was the second.
Totally have missed this.
So there's Lookout Landing.
He's like right there.
There's the Sky Tower, and then.
Well, yep, nope. Never talked to that guy. Gotta go talk
to
him.
What a great commercial for the OLED. It's nice and clear. You can see it. But
what's funny because I've put like literally more than 100 hours into that game, and my wife started playing recently, and I've been sort of watching her play over her shoulder, and like I'm still like all the time. I'm like, where are you? I have not been here.
Because that guy's clearly meant to be your accessible. Like Zonite guy on the ground.
I just always go up to the Sky Island because he's right next to a fast travel point.
Yes, that's why I was surprised, Alex. I was like, he seemed like he was hard to miss because he's in that main gate, and you kind of.
Oh no! Hold on, no, this is the battery only.
Well, that's what I thought. Yeah, because there's the other one that you meet like that. He's right by a fast travel point on the starter island.
Okay, so is he a different one, or do he just
I'm looking for the guy who turns the ore into the capsules, like not the capsules, the big
triangle
blocks
things,
the triangle.
Okay, so it's a different
but that's wild that I have totally missed that guy.
It's still nice to know this guy's here.
But those are all underground, Alex.
They
and there's a bunch of them, and they also produce a lot more. So like because the guy on the Sky Island, what does he give? He has like 8 at a time. The ones underground have like 20, 30 at a time.
Oh wow, okay. I need to do that.
Just follow some of the statues. You know what I'm talking about? Go talk to Joshua. He'll sort you out, or she'll sort you out. Josh has got you covered.
I know the statues you're talking about. I do.
Josh, tell her Kyle sent you. She'll hook you up.
Okay, cool. I will. Awesome. Well, anything else, guys, before we start to wrap up?
No, Zelda's still great.
Zelda's still great.
Play some more Planet of Lana.
There's a lot of games coming out in the next 2 weeks.
We've got a PlayStation showcase, or I guess it would have already happened by the time.
Oh yeah, that's why we're not talking about it, because we already.
Yeah, so in case we're recording this the day before that, and so
yeah.
Should we make any predictions that will be like wrong or right?
Yeah, are those fun to listen to in retrospect as a podcast listener? I don't know, maybe.
All right,
Marcus,
one each.
Should we
off the dome?
Okay, I'm gonna frame it as if it happened, so I'm gonna pretend to be excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Man, could you guys believe how great Marvel Spider-Man 2 looked in that PlayStation showcase?
Yeah.
The game, the web swinging, it was so cool seeing Miles and Peter swinging together. And man, Venom. I've seen some Venoms in my day, but that one might take the cake.
That Venom was potent.
But you know what? That was all cool, Marcus, but I couldn't believe that despite there already being an Insomniac game there, they showed Wolverine gameplay. Right? I couldn't believe that they showed that. 2 Insomniac games?
Wow.
Blew my mind.
That's wild.
His claws look great. They cut real good.
You know what I couldn't believe, guys?
What's that?
When Blue Point announced a Metal Gear Solid remake.
Yeah.
Of the first game. Right.
The rumors were true. The third game for some reason.
Oh, was it? Wait.
I think you got to do the first one. Why would you do the third one?
I mean, the rumors are Snake
it's
Eater.
not. We've watched it, so I'm saying it was the first one, right, Alex?
It was the first one, not the third one.
And we were all surprised that it wasn't the third one. Is what we're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Why would you do the third one? That would be dumb. Yeah.
Because that's the one that was rumored before.
Yeah. I mean, technically, it's the first one in the chronological timeline.
Well, it's not, but. Oh no, 3 is. Yes.
Yeah, 3 is Snake Eater. Yeah.
Sorry, I thought we were talking about Metal Gear Solid 1. Yeah. Okay.
No,
sorry. Apologies. Yeah. You know what you're talking about, Marcus. Should have never doubted you.
Man, what a wild show. What a wild show. And those
Catch it.
Oh, and Little Devil Inside, the release date. Man, that's just around the corner.
I'm playing it right now. Who would have thought it would have came out after the show?
Yeah.
Pretty cool game so far.
And Hollow Knight. They finally showed that off.
You know? I can't hold all of these games, Alex. So many.
Half-Life Alex on PSVR 2.
Oh my God,
they did it.
I
pre-ordered my headset.
Half-Life Alex non-VR,
the one that's already out,
so everybody can play it. Well, coming up next, we've got the interview Marcus did with WWE Tag Team Pretty Deadly. So look forward to that in the next couple minutes. I also wanted to shout out, we got a new podcast review from Santa's Pants. They left us a 5-star review.
Santa's Pants?
Yes. Saying, I have listened to this show for a long time and have never been disappointed. And with me being a massive Nintendo and Zelda fan, with Tears of the Kingdom coming out, I've been extra excited for these new episodes. Although I have a question, I play Smash Bros. More than any other game, so I was wondering what everyone's Smash main was and why they like them. Sincerely, _Reaper, aka Santa's Pants.
Santa's Pants, just sidebar, those would probably be really smelly because of all the milk that he drinks.
Yeah, and the travel.
By the way, Toon Link for me to answer that question in Ultimate, which is funny because I'm usually like a Fire Emblem person, even though I don't play
one of those. Huh?
I liked Roy in Melee, I loved, and Marth, and I'm Lucina in Ultimate. I really played a lot of, but Toon Link was surprised me as being the one that I really stuck with the most.
I'm regular Link when I want to have fun and be bad. I play Diddy Kong because I love Diddy Kong.
I usually don't do mains necessarily in fighting game. I jump around, but I will say probably Cloud. Like he's usually who I start with when I play Smash, is like to get me into mode to start off on a good foot, and I'm good with him. So yeah, I'll go with Cloud.
I mean, Smash is a game that like I have fun whenever if I put random, I still have a great time. Like it truly doesn't matter, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you for that review. I just want to remind people to watch us on Twitch on Fridays, our replay series, Super Replay, twitch.tv/Game Informer. That's where you see Marcus and Kyle, and we've been streaming more often lately. So I think we're gonna, again, this is already gonna be published, but probably gonna stream the PlayStation Showcase. I'm planning to. Don't forget,
you did a good job.
Thank you. Yeah. Single issues of Game Informer magazine print are available for $5.99 at GameStop.com/Game Informer. Don't forget to follow these guys here. You can follow Kyle at Kyle M. Hilliard, and you can follow Marcus at Marcus Stewart 7, and you can follow me at It's Van Aken. Go and listen to All Things Nintendo, our other weekly podcast hosted by Brian Shea, if you're a Nintendo fan. And let's jump into the WWE Tag Team interview. Pretty Deadly. All right, bye.
First and foremost, great to meet both of you. My name is Marcus Stewart. I'm with Game Informer, Associate Editor, and I am joined by Kit Wilson and Elton Prince of Pretty Deadly. How are you guys doing today?
Yes, boy!
We go.
Doing very well, thank you, Marcus. How are you? Thank you for having us.
I'm doing great. I'm doing better now that I'm with you guys. You know,
he's off to a good start.
You're a charmer.
Yeah, you're a charmer.
You've charmed me.
You know, I've learned for the best. You know, this is a big day for you guys. Yeah, as we're recording, SmackDown is tonight. You were both recently drafted to the SmackDown roster. And also, you both have been added to WWE 2K23, which is your first appearance in a WWE 2K game. So first and foremost, how does it feel to be in a video game?
It's kind of surreal, isn't it? That's the reality of it. When, because the 2K team are really good with their marketing. So we saw a lot about it online, and, watching the entrance, we were messaging each other like, oh, it's really cool. Like, it looks just like us, blah, blah, blah. But then obviously when it came out on Wednesday, we got the chance to sit down and play it, and it made it so much more real. Like, you can watch something on your phone and think, oh, that's really cool. But when we sat down, controllers in hand, and you're playing as yourself, it's just wild, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, and what we all doing as children, we're playing video games. You get obsessed with video games, then to kind of grow up and you're in a video game, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild.
And it turns out it's a way to win your dad's approval.
There you go. How about that?
Yeah, bonkers.
And you guys are former, two-time NXT UK Tag Champions, former NXT Tag Champions, all obviously really great accolades. But is there something about being in a video game is that the moment where you really feel like, hey, I made it in this business?
I think it's definitely, it could be because I think the main thing is that it feels like it has more reach, right? Like some people watch wrestling, but they've got their favorites, and we might not necessarily be that yet. We will, Marcus, don't worry, we will. We'll get there. We will. But the people all around the world, people who aren't even necessarily regular viewers of wrestling, play the game because it's just so much fun. So I think that's what makes it feel more real for us. It makes it feel like a big deal. Like, I feel like this is when our family stop kind of asking the questions of like, oh, are you still doing the wrestling? Then are you like, now they've seen us in a video game? It's like, they're
not only am I doing the wrestling, I'm on a game. Mom.
It's like, do you guys buy your family members copies of the game? As like, you guys have to play this now because we're in it?
So my dad lives in China. No video game history, doesn't know anything, but as soon as he heard, he bought a PlayStation 5 and he bought the game.
Oh my God.
Dare I say a baller move? But I was flattered and I said thank you from me and Elton. It was and he doesn't know what he's doing. He's not good on the sticks. Doesn't know what he's doing, but it was lovely, yeah.
Very sweet.
Yeah, I mean, nothing says love than buying a $500 console just to support your kids. I love it. And I have to ask this, a big tradition with WWE 2K are the ratings reveals. Every superstar is excited or terrified to see your ratings. You guys are both rated as an 81. How does that make you feel?
Well, that's the thing. The only thing we were terrified about is not what number it was that we were the same number.
Because we're the same person. The thing about Pretty Deadly is you've got lots of other teams that are kind of mismatched, but we're the same. We're Me Brain, Sue Brain. We're the same. We're 2 in 1. So to get the same rating, that's a good rating as well. 81.
81 is pretty good. We're in, we've got good company. Funnily enough, we're at the same rating as Butch and Ridge, who is going to be our debut match tonight on SmackDown.
Oh, and that's exciting. We should simulate it.
Well, beforehand.
Yeah, because I know what the result would be.
Well, obviously we know what the result would be.
But it'd be nice to see it in video game before we do it tonight.
It would be nice to watch ourselves beat them up before we go on and beat them up.
Yeah.
That's fun. Wow. That's like a vortex.
Oh,
Yeah, I was going to ask that if you guys had a chance to play as yourselves yet, and how often in general do you guys play each other in video games?
Well, yeah. So I think it came out on Wednesday, and we've been traveling a little bit. But I think just before we left to travel, we've had a little dabble, haven't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we played a couple of times,
and we're loving it, really.
Yeah, it's really fun. I think I like how, how much more the game has evolved since when we played when we were younger. I think that's something that's really exciting about it. There's a lot more. I don't know. I just feel like you've got a lot more like freedom with it.
Well, when I was younger, playing all the wrestling video games, I loved the customization. Obviously, I wasn't a wrestler then, so I'd create myself. I'd create this, create that, and the customization of this 2K game is next level. We're getting tweets, we're getting tagged and stuff, and it's unbelievable. That's really quite impressive.
As for gaming in general, we're big gamers. When we were doing the NXT UK camps, I don't know how many people are sort of aware of it, but it would be a couple weeks at a time, and obviously you're always looking for ways to try and pass time.
They're rooming together in the hotel.
So we're rooming together, and we used to bring our PlayStation, and we used to play endless tournaments of NBA 2K. So that was really fun.
And I won every single.
Okay, don't do that.
Every single time.
But why? You know what your tactic was, boy. You chose Yao Ming every time.
Dunk, 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 dunk.
I was gonna ask, what is your Elton? Like, what is your go-to team for NBA 2K?
I'm a Lakers fan, so that's my go-to. Probably, Lakers in 6. Probably win the whole thing this year. I feel good about it.
We'll get that.
We might be 2-0 down, but classically everyone comes back from a 2-0
we love a comeback story. Yeah. What games do you like, Marcus? I'm interested.
Oh boy, that's a big can of worms for someone in my position, but I love platformers. That's probably my favorite genre. So like Mario was my first game growing up, like the original Super Mario Brothers. I'm going to show my age here a little bit. But pretty much every Mario game, playing Zelda right now, which recently came out, Tears of the Kingdom. That's a big jam. That new Star Wars game. I like a bit of everything, but I'd say platformers and like action adventure stuff is probably my bread and butter.
That's fair. Nice. Yeah, that's fair. I'm enjoying the new Zelda. Good fun.
Yeah, you're enjoying yourself.
Good fun.
Yeah, I need to play more of it. I'm tied up with work stuff, but my Switch is always there, just sitting there tempting me. Like I could be building some really dumb stuff with Ultra Hand right now.
Well, that's the interesting thing about the busier you get and the more the more work you've got, it's a good thing, right? But then you kind of notice how there's like hobbies and interests you have, and they're always to the side. Yeah. You're kind of like, oh, I'm working technically, but I wouldn't mind having a
quick game, a quick game, if you will. Yeah. I agree.
What were you guys' favorite WWE games growing up?
Oh, what was the?
So there was a.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I don't know. I've got 2. I don't know the specifics. I think it was the one. I think it was maybe 2009 SmackDown versus Raw versus ECW.
Oh,
where you could go to the top of the cell, throw people off the top of the cell.
Hell in a Cell, man.
Yeah. I used to love Hell in a Cell was my favorite type of match when I was a kid. I used to love doing that. Yeah.
I really liked SmackDown versus Raw 2007. Yeah. And on GameCube, me and my childhood best friend would play Day of Reckoning.
Oh, yeah. That's a nice deep cut.
That's interesting.
That was wild. And that's just come to me now. I kind of almost forgot, but you've kind of grabbed that from me. Day of Reckoning. Yeah.
Dare I say I'm jealous of your deep cut. I'd like one myself. Come on. I played like some old ones as well.
For Day of Reckoning, occasionally I will still YouTube the commercial for that, which is like John Cena doing that Day of Reckoning rap. I remember when it first came out, it was so catchy.
I don't think I've seen this.
Yeah, it's worth looking up. He just does, this is when, pure Doctor of Thugonomics mode Cena, and he just does this Day of Reckoning rap, and it's one of his better ones that no one talks about, I guess, because it was a commercial. But yeah, that's what I always think of when I think of Day of Reckoning.
We're watching that straight away.
We'll do some research straight away.
Yeah. And also good, SmackDown versus Raw 07. I had a long phase with that game where my brother and my friend had like endless triple threat matches. We would keep tally about, who would win the most every session. That one's another one that's very close to me. So, that's great taste. Both of you.
Thank you. Mainly me, but I'm sorry. I'm getting playful.
And just
you.
And just in general, what is your earliest memories of video games? Like, where do you remember the first video game that you guys played that got you into the medium?
I don't know. So I enjoy gaming, but I don't have that, like, how a lot of gamers have that knowledge. I don't have much of that gaming knowledge, so I couldn't be able to like give you all the specifics. But I remember being a kid and my dad having some sort of game that had the joystick. And I used to love the game where you was a small fish and then you could eat bigger fish. And then the more fish you ate, your fish got bigger, which meant you could eat more fish.
I think that was Fish Yum Yum.
Fish Yum Yum. Yeah. That was,
I've never heard of that.
I'm not, by no means am I saying it was a great game, but that's, at this age, I'm like 4 or 5. And I just remember I could play it endlessly, just trying to, because the goal was to get your fish as big as possible, right? But if you try to eat a fish that was bigger than you, then your fish, disintegrated. You have to start again.
Big fish, man.
Big fish got me. I realized after telling that story how dull it is.
Why don't you go longer? Why don't you do more on the fish?
But as a kid, I loved it.
So I've got an older brother, and I remember him, and then my parents getting him the Nintendo 64. So I kind of remember I would play because I'd watch him play, but I'd never like finish the game. I'd never do it. I'm just trying to jump on when he's finished, trying to like copy him. But I remember Mario 64. I remember GoldenEye, and I remember Zelda for the N64. Yeah.
And was it the classic like he's playing?
There's no fish,
and he gives you a controller, but it's not on.
Yeah,
just to let you play with it.
Yeah.
The ultimate sibling trick. As an older brother myself, we know the tricks. It's like, you're totally helping me right now.
Nailing it.
Us younger siblings are just happy to watch the screen and try and be involved with the cool older brother.
Exactly. That's awesome. Well, what do you you mentioned you were playing Zelda before. Is there anything else right now that you're currently got your attention?
I think you should. You're pretty good at
we're big Fortnite guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wait, now do you do build or zero build?
I will say we did start off doing build. We did, and we had a good go at it. And dare I say, we got kind of good at it. But then it just kind of seemed pointless. I don't want to play the game to be building stuff. So now we're no build people. But we'll do duos sometimes, which is very fun.
Yeah.
That's a big one for us. Just trying to chase that dub, man.
Oh, when we moved to the United States, you're obviously trying to move to a new country. We've got nothing, but we bought a console and we just had bare minimum furniture, but we'd just be doing Fortnite, and it was kind of the perfect easy jump in and jump out game.
Yeah, I think because I know it might sound crazy, but because we played it a lot before we left, so I feel like that was like our one little comfort thing when we came back, right? Of like, kind of making the transition of moving a little bit easier, maybe.
Yeah. Are you guys running duos together? Are you doing tag team stuff on a bunch of other people?
Oh, you best believe.
You best believe with yours. Yeah.
I mean, hey, we've seen recently some WWE skins in Fortnite. John Cena most famously. Maybe one day we can get a Pretty Deadly tag team skin in there.
Maybe. I think that would look pretty cool.
Well,
different at least.
Sorry, I'm struggling on the name here. Geralt,
yeah. Geralt of Rivier.
Geralt. Oh, Witcher. You do have a Witcher. Yeah.
I'm already in the game.
You best believe I was playing as him.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever dawned on me until now. Like, yeah, you've got a Geralt going on there.
There he is.
Okay, and I've always wondered, like, in this era of just wrestling, so much of the current talent loves video games, or like the overlap between video games and wrestling, even in general, it's so big now. Which, as a fan of both, personally, I think that's awesome. Like I mentioned before, you guys are now on the main roster on SmackDown. Do you guys? I don't know how the NXT locker room is when it comes to video games, but do you guys think you can hang with all of the gamers on the main roster?
Oh, it's tough because I consider ourselves pretty good, but some of these people have been on the road, gaming regular for years, so that's a kind of an endurance, if you will, that it's going to be tough to match. But I would say that we fancy ourselves, don't we, boy? We've got a chance, a fire's chance.
I think, being honest, they're experienced gamers. They've probably got our number, but there's one thing we don't like to do as a duo is lose. So we're stubborn.
Yeah.
And I will beat Xavier Woods at every single game he has.
Every single.
Wow.
One by one.
You're on the record right here. We're saying it. We're calling him.
We're looking at a long, Pretty Deadly main roster run. And that means besting him.
You're talking about a guy who basically ruined our lives. So you think we won't do the same back? You think we won't play him at every single game he has and win every single one until he crumbles and is no longer a man?
Just a shell of a man.
I'm sorry you had to hear that, Marcus. I'm very sorry you had to hear that.
No, I understand. I mean, they took titles from you guys. It was a not great moment, but
hey,
do you know what? It's just like they did it for fun as well.
Yeah, that's the worst part. I agree. It was funnily enough, it was all a big game to them.
Very good.
What they did with our lives. Yeah. Ridiculous.
You best believe when I first cracked open 2K, I put them in the ring and I just destroyed them.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, you guys can do that now. Like, he's safe on him. He and Kofi are safe on Raw now. But at least you can get your revenge in the game.
Days are numbered.
They're about as safe as they can be. But yeah, now I think moving forward, I think that'll be sort of like an evening routine. Just before when I'm trying to wind down, I'm gonna put Xavier and Kofi in the game. I'm gonna beat them up, pin them, and then I think, I can rest easy now.
I'm gonna do handicaps. I'll do them one at a time.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, that's really good.
Nice. Well, as a tag team, you mentioned playing duos in Fortnite. Do you guys have any other favorite co-op games that you like to play either with each other or just in general growing up?
Oh, that's interesting. Well, yeah, the 2K games we're often playing against each other, aren't we, with NBA? And Fortnite was a nice opportunity to get that duos. I'm trying to think if there's any other duos I've played.
I don't think so, really. I think they've been our main over our years. We have played. No, we've dabbled in some zombies together.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah.
Oh, like Call of Duty?
Yeah. Nack de Toten, I think maybe, or Undertoten. I think it's one of the maps. That's an old school. That might be like Black Ops 1 or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Look at me with the callbacks now.
Go on, get it.
Okay.
I guess have you got any to recommend?
I would say, recently last year there was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. If you guys are Ninja Turtles fans or even just a fan of like old school arcade games, it was pretty much like a modernized throwback to those old TMNT beat 'em ups. Amazing soundtrack. You can play up to 6 players if you want to, which is chaos when you can make it happen, because you can get all the turtles and you can play as April O'Neil and it's got sort of like old school 16-bit graphics, but just really vibrant. That's a great option. And then there's stuff like stuff out there like Back 4 Blood, if you're into like the zombie shooting stuff, that you could play with 4 players and go. It's pretty much like a modernized Left 4 Dead. If you guys ever played that back in the day, it's made by the Left 4 Dead developers.
Okay. I've not heard of it. We'll check it out.
I think we'll look into both of them. Yeah, that sounds good. I think obviously now as well we'll be playing a lot more WWE 2K23 because we're in it. So I think it's going to be very exciting. I'm sure we'll be playing that a lot. And I believe actually that hasn't it been said that it's the best wrestling game ever made?
I think the reviews are in, and I think it's like the highest reviewed.
Yeah, and is that because we're in it? Is that why?
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think there's only one reason.
Right.
Again, I mean, even your DLC pack is partially named after you guys.
Right. So huh? It's really, even when you see it in the it's got the little square in the PlayStation Store, and our faces being on it. That was pretty cool. That was a really nice moment.
Nice. Well, now that you guys are like if you're on SmackDown, is there anyone on the roster tag team wise that you're most looking forward to competing against?
There's a list. Wow. Ultimately, we're looking for success, and that means we're going to have to run over a few people. Obviously, the Brawling Brutes, we're going to try and get that done one night. That's tonight.
One and done.
Who's next?
Oh, I think then maybe we'll mosey on over to the Street Profits. Maybe say hello.
Yeah.
Pick up the dub. And then
you're saying you want the smoke.
Oh. Let me say this, Marcus. If we haven't been clear enough already, I need you to know that we want the smoke.
Okay.
I want us to be even clearer, and I hope you recorded because Pretty Deadly, we want the smoke.
We want that smoke. But anyway,
heard it here first.
In terms of our teams, we want them all. We're excited to mix it up with Otis and Gable, the Viking Raiders, as you mentioned. I think there's 2 big ones at the moment. There's the current champions, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. But I think to prove ourselves as a team, we'd have to take on the Usos.
Yeah, I think that's the exciting. I mean, well, all of them are so exciting, but they're two main teams that we grew up watching. One of them being the New Day, which kind of proved, don't meet your heroes because they suck. But the other ones being the Usos. So I feel like that's just like a real, that would just be such a cool moment of like, here are these people who are at the top of the game, and we used to look up to them as, essentially children, right? Teenagers at least, but not really much difference. And then now here we are opposite them in the ring with a chance to prove that, we're as good.
Damn right.
There you go. And, the Usos also big gamers, so you can prove that you're as good in the ring as well as backstage. Maybe get on some of those Tekken competitions they got going on.
Cool. We could hit like a little double. Beat him in the ring, beat him at Tekken.
Beat him in the ring, drag him backstage, and go, right, we'll go 2 for 2.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, last question for, a lot of people are going to be introduced to you guys for the first time that you're on the main roster and in WWE 2K23. What do you want to tell them to convince them to give you guys a shot in WWE 2K? Why should they pick you to play in WWE 2K23?
That's a really good question. Wow. What's the best way to sell it?
Okay. Much like in the ring, in this 2K23, I think Pretty Deadly, the tag team, I think we bring everything. If you like wrestling, there's lots of things you can like within that, but we're all of it. We're the charisma, we're the in-ring ability, we're fun, we're colorful, we're vibrant. We've got the grit, we've got determination. We're a great team.
We got it all. We've got innovative movesets as well. You're seeing stuff on our 2K characters. You haven't seen this stuff before. This is brand new, hot off the shelves, boy. That's exciting. And I think what's more exciting than 2 killer queens, than 2 dandy highwaymen, than 2 tasty snacks. There we go. Sold. Play with us. I'll take right now.
And to end this, can you guys hit us with a yeah, boy?
Oh, here we go.
I was spooky as well, yeah.
Yes, boy!